All right, everybody, welcome back to our second day of factoring. So, yesterday we kind of started it. Today we're going to kind of keep going on building on that a little bit. So, yesterday what we learned is that if we are being asked to factor something, the place we want to start is by coming through and making an X. I'm going to take whatever numbers at the very end there. Notice how I took the negative because that number or that sign goes with the 3. And I'm going to take whatever number is in the middle and I'm going to put that on the bottom. Now, when we do this, just like before, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us -3 that are going to add to give us a positive 2. Or, I'm sorry, a negative 2. Now, I like to make a list if I struggle with this a little bit, but 3 is kind of easy. So, how about the only numbers I can think about that multiply to be 3 would be a 1 and a 3. So, let's grab a 1 and let's grab a 3. Now, in this situation, if they multiply to be a negative number, the only way that that can happen is if one of them is negative. If they're both negative, then it'd be positive. If they're both positive, then it'd be positive. But since it's negative, I know only one of them is actually negative. So I'm going to try. Okay, now this is how I like to tell kids. If you, at this point, look at the bottom number, do you see how the bottom number is negative? Then what that means is that the bigger number has to be negative. If the bottom number was positive, then the bigger number would have to be positive. All right, so once we got it, we should check it. Does 1 times -3 equal -3? The answer is heck yeah. And does 1 plus a -3 equal -2? And the answer is absolutely. So once you got your numbers, then what you want to do is you want to draw those parentheses. This time our variable is r, so we're going to say 1r. And this is a positive 1, so I'm going to say plus 1. And then I'm going to say 1r minus 3. And that will be my answer. Nice job. Let's do another one. So, problem number 2. I'm going to draw my x. I'm going to put -6 up top and -5 on the bottom. I'm looking for two numbers. Now, if you notice, right, the top number is negative. That means one of my numbers on the side here will be negative and the other one will be positive. The other thing I should hopefully notice right now is that the bottom number is negative as well. So what that means is that whatever number's bigger, that needs to be my negative number. So if I start thinking about 6, well, I know 2 and 3 multiply to give us 6, so maybe those are our numbers. Now, remember what I said the bigger one's going to have to be negative since the bottom number is negative. So let's try this out. -2 times 3, or 2 times -3 equals a -6. But 2 plus a -3 would equal -1. So that didn't work. If that's the case, then maybe I got the wrong numbers. What other numbers go into 6? Well, 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. It wasn't 2 and 3, so let's try 1 and 6. Now, remember what we said. If only one of them has to be negative, then you just need to look at the bottom. If the bottom's negative, then the bigger one needs to be negative. So let's see if this works. 1 times -6 equals -6. 1 plus -6 would equal -5. So we got it. Now we want to draw those parentheses, our n and our n. This is a positive 1, so I'm going to say plus 1. And this is a -6, so I'm going to say -6. Now if you notice, this time I didn't write the 1s in front. And here's the truth, you don't always need to. So if you don't see it, if there's no spot on your answer key to put those 1s, don't worry about it. If there is a spot, make sure you put a 1 because there's only one n. Let's do another one. So coming over here, we're going to have -21, that goes up top. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have my +4. Now in this situation, the top is negative and the bottom's positive. So that means the bigger number, right, when I get to my sides, whichever number is bigger has to be the positive number. All right, so let's think about 21 for a second. So for 21, I know 1 and 21. 2 doesn't go in. 3 goes in 7 times. Maybe that's it. So 3 and 7. Now, one of them has to be negative. Since my bottom one's positive, then the bigger number here has to stay positive, so this must be the negative one. So -3 times 7 equals -21. -3 plus 7 equals +4. So my final answer then is going to be, well, we're talking about x's, so x minus 3 and x plus 7. Great job. Let's look at problem number 4. Problem number 4, we're going to put negative 7 up top and negative 6 on the bottom. Now, remember, if they multiply to be a negative number, the only way that can happen is if one of the numbers on the side is negative. Now, since the bottom's negative, what you know is that whatever number's bigger has to be the one that's negative. So when I think about 7, the only numbers that go into 7, I think, are just 1 and 7. Now, again, 1 times 7 would equal positive 7. So we're not even working for the top. So we're going to have to add a negative. And remember, since the bottom's negative, you should add the negative to the bigger number. So let's try this out. 1 times negative 7 equals negative 7. 1 plus negative 7 would equal negative 6. We got it. So coming over here, let's look to see what my variable is. It looks like it's b in this situation. So I'm going to have b, now this is a positive 1, so plus 1. And then I'm going to have b minus 7, which will be my final answer. Nice job. Let's go to problem number 5. Problem number 5. Ooh, this one, new one today. We have a positive 18 up top. We haven't seen one of these yet today. And we're going to have negative 9 on the bottom. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be a positive 18. Well, let's think about this. So 18 would be 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. 4 doesn't go in, 5 doesn't go in, 6 goes in 3 times. And that's when my list flip-flops. So we're done. Now, I do think 3 plus 6, I could get close to 9, right? 3 plus 6 is 9. Now, they're both positive right now, so it's going to work for the top. But remember, if the top is positive, that can happen two ways. Either both of your side numbers are positive, or both of your side numbers are negative. And if they're both negative, then they would add to be negative 9, which is what we want, so that must be our right answer. So my answer here is going to be n minus 3 and n minus 6. Nice job. Let's go to the next one. Number 6. Now, remember, anytime you see one that doesn't have a number, you can put a 1 right in front of it. So you're going to put negative 6 up top, and you're going to put 1 on the bottom, and that's a positive 1. So, when we come over there, we're back to multiplying to be a negative. So if we have to multiply to be a negative, that means one of my side numbers will be negative. Now, since our bottom is positive here, that means whatever number's bigger has to be the positive one. So which numbers multiply to be 6? Well, 1 and 6, but that won't add to 1, and 2 and 3. Well, that kind of gets there. It gets they're like 1 apart, so if I had a 2 here and a 3 here, now I do know one of them has to be negative, so you can either like guess check or you can try to think about it. If I came over here and just tried to put the negative on the 3, if I'm just guessing it, that would work for the top, but it wouldn't work for the bottom. So then if that doesn't work, try to put the negative on the other one. Negative 2 times 3 will give me negative 6. Negative 2 plus 3 will give me a positive 1. Remember what I said. If the bottom is positive, then the bigger number will be positive. If the bottom is negative, then the bigger number will be negative. So once I get this far, n is my variable, so n minus 2, that was bad too, and n, that's a positive 3, so I'm going to say plus 3. Nice job. Let's go to the next one. Number 7. We're almost there. So we're going to have a positive 3 up top and a negative 4 on the bottom. Well, how about a 3 and a 1? We're almost there. Now, since they multiply to be the top, remember, if it's positive, they can either both be positive or both be negative. Let's try making them both negative to see if this works. Negative 3 times negative 1 works for the top. Negative 3 plus negative 1 works for the bottom. So my final answer will be a minus 3, because that was 1, and a minus 1, because that was the other. Now, if you're just copying down my work and you're not thinking about these, this is going to be really, really tough for you. You've got to think about these numbers. Which numbers work? So looking at problem number 8, we're going to put negative 15 up top and negative 2 on the bottom. If you're struggling to come up with the numbers, make your list. 2 doesn't go into 15. 3 goes in 5 times. 4 doesn't go in. 5 goes in 3 times. We only have 2 choices here. I don't think it's 1 and 15, so let's try the 3 and the 5. Remember, if it multiplies to be a negative number, then one of them has to be negative. If the bottom number is negative, then the bigger one has to be the negative number. So, check it out. You can always check your work. Does 3 times negative 5 equal negative 15? Yes is our answer. 3 plus negative 5 equal negative 2? Absolutely. So my final answer here will be, we're talking about n's, n, that's a positive 3, so plus 3, and n minus 5. And we are done, ladies and gentlemen. Nice job. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Remember, I'm always here to help you figure out what you are stuck on. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, everybody.